Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6.
Coming up this morning, one of the most well-known buildings in Lincoln is getting renovations, but now the cost might be a little bit more than expected. Reporter Giles Pembroke is going to join us with all the new information.
And a house fire in Lincoln puts a family out of a home over the weekend. We speak to the Red Cross on the importance of fire safety and give you some tips in case you're ever in that situation.
Nebraska State Patrol investigating a fatal motorcycle crash late Saturday night that started as a police pursuit. We'll tell you everything we know right now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for starting your week with us. I'm Katrina Spurl.
And I'm Nathan Griefin. What a warm week it is. We're sitting here at 60 degrees right now, and it's only going to go up from here.
Oh yes, that's right. A big jump up in temperatures expected for later today. Right now we are starting off with a lovely start weather-wise for your day. The entire state almost cloud-free. Most of the clouds up to the north. Down in Lincoln and southeast Nebraska we do have clear skies. So once the sun goes up, we'll see a beautiful sunrise and a big jump up in temperatures. But already right now it's pretty comfortable out there. Take a look around southeast Nebraska, a mix of 50s and 60s. So window weather while heading off to work this morning. 56 is your current temperature in Grand Island with 62 in Beatrice, 61 in Lincoln, and 58 your current temperature in Omaha. So if that's a little chilly for you, maybe have the light jacket on, but I didn't need mine when I came to work this morning. That's how nice it is. Now, I do want to just give you a heads up though. It is pretty windy, so it will not be a good hair day, unfortunately. It's going to be just like yesterday with those winds. Already right now, wind speeds about 15 to 20 miles per hour in some spots, gusts close to 25. So a blustery day again for today, but hey, at least we have that nice warmth on the way. It'll be very fast too. 60s sticking around until 8 o'clock, but 70s already by 10 in the morning, 80s, and yes, even the 90s for some of us. We'll take a look at who of us, or which one of us will see those 90s. That's all coming up in your full forecast.
A historic downtown building is being revamped, but the city wants to hear about it from you. And Channel 8's Giles Pembroke is joining us live as we cover Lincoln.
Good morning, guys. Yes, I'm standing right here downtown in front of the Golds building where they are planning to add over 180 apartments to those top floors. Now, if they do that, the city says this could be one of the largest projects to happen in downtown Lincoln for apartment complexes. Now, the city plans to renovate the upper floors of Gold's building, making mostly one-bedroom units, but also some studios and two-bedroom units. Plans for the first floor is to use it for business and office space. A city official says some Lincolnites may remember what the building used to look like.
Old-time Lincolnites might remember Mrs. B's, which was a grocery store that ran along M Street. And then the Golds building, which was Nathan's Golds, was the downtown department store, and that was the multi-story building that runs along O Street.
He says this is a good plan as foot traffickers mostly visit the first floor. In 2019, the Golds building was going to be a hotel, but after the pandemic, the owners agreed to sell, saying a residential complex would make more sense. Marvin says everyone can benefit as plans are to update the inside and outside of the building as well. Now, there is a city council meeting tonight, so there's a public hearing to be held about the Golds building. If you'd like to say anything, we will keep you updated with more information as it comes. Reporting in Lincoln, Giles Pembroke, Channel 8 Eyewitness News. Back to you guys in the...
And there is actually more on the agenda for City Council today. An amendment to the projects paid for by the quarter-cent sales tax and an ordinance to delay the expiration of some permits and licenses, all because of the pandemic.
And also amending the capital improvement program to include the Aging Department's Victory Park project and also to cover a few other parks and recreation projects. We'll have all of the latest details, just like Giles said, in our evening newscasts.
Governor Pete Ricketts, Fremont Mayor Joey Spellerberg, and the Nebraska Department of Transportation, they are all hosting a celebration today for the progress on construction of the Fremont Southeast Beltway. And that's a $62 million project.
Now, if you want to attend the party, it's at 3:30. That's at the work site at the roundabout intersection of Highway 77 and Downing Street. And in case you can't make it, it will be streamed live.
Lincoln police are investigating a fatal motorcycle crash that happened Saturday night on Highway 77 near Warlock Boulevard. Around 10 p.m., two Nebraska state troopers joined into a chase. A motorcycle headed north on Highway 77 before either of them was able to make a traffic stop. The motorcycle rear-ended a car. The troopers came on scene later and tried to save the rider, a 28-year-old male from Lincoln. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
5 people are homeless after a fire destroyed their home yesterday. LFR headed out to the area of 18th and Spring Meadow Drive right around 6:30 yesterday morning. And they say all 5 people who lived there made it out safely, but their 3 cats died. And officials say that fire was started by a leftover ember in a fire pit from the night before. And the house is believed to be a total loss with about $200,000 in damage. Now here's something you may not realize. If you're in a house fire, you've only got 2 minutes to escape, and after 1 more minute passes, the American Red Cross says that fire is already 1,100 degrees. Now when it comes to fire safety, the Red Cross recommends families take 2 simple steps to be safe. Create an escape plan and frequently test your smoke alarms. Now Liz Wood is with the Red Cross. She says you and your family should start preparing right now because this can happen to anybody.
I think a lot of people think, I saw that in the news, but that's not going to be us. We see a lot of fires happen from grilling, and it's getting to be the season. You want to be outside. You want to make those burgers. You have to make sure that the grill goes out.
The Red Cross has got a lot of home fire prevention, safety tips, and resources. You can also sign up for a free smoke alarm, and all of that info can be found on our website. Just hover over that community tab, click on Midday Interviews.
Omaha police are showing body and dash cam video of the moment officers shot a black man during a traffic stop last year. Grand jurors decided not to issue indictments in the November shooting of Kenneth Jones. And officers can be heard in the video repeatedly yelling hands up, and one officer says to stop reaching and he's got a gun before shots ring out. And that shooting started off a new round of protests late last year.
The Lincoln Police Department says gym thefts are on the rise. They say there were only 53 reports of theft at local gyms last year, but this year, and mind you, we're only 4 months in, there have been 48 reports. And LPD says usually these thefts happen while people are working out, and recently local gym thefts have related, the crimes have involved victims having wallets, debit cards, keys, even their cars stolen from them. So if you're headed to the gym this morning, LPD says the best thing gym goers can do is just to make sure that their cars and gym lockers are locked up tight.
American Airlines bringing a new flight to Omaha, a direct flight to LaGuardia in New York. And Eppley Airfield says they have had over 280,000 travelers come through the airport in the month of March. That's 100,000 more than just the month before. However, more needs to be done to get back to those pre-pandemic levels. Eppley Airfield has already offered direct flights to LaGuardia, New York on Delta Airlines. United Airlines had a direct flight to Newark, New Jersey.
A group of local students are taking on a very big project with NASA. It's a satellite program that helps improve solar power generation. A team of 8th through 11th graders handpicked by NASA to build a satellite that'll test solar power generation in the Earth's orbit to see how well a new solar cell generates power with and without direct sunlight. And that's a precursor for a lot bigger project. That's the NASA Cube Launch Initiative.
I've always just been interested just kind of in the background in space. I never thought like I'd get a chance to send a satellite this early into space to begin working with aerospace mentors while I was still in school.
With the help of the University of Nebraska, those students have been researching, designing, and building the satellite, and they got to do their very first test run of the project over the weekend. The satellite, the big one, is set to launch sometime between 2022 and 2025. It was a pretty historic night at the Oscars. A record 17 trophies went to women.
David Daniel has the highlights from the 93rd Academy Awards in today's Hollywood Minute.
Oh, live TV. Here we go.
The 2021 Oscars had a few stumbles and surprises, like nominee Glenn Close doing debut as part of a trivia challenge. Some wins were expected, like Daniel Kaluuya taking Best Supporting Actor for Judas and the Black Messiah. Kaluuya paid tribute to the man he played, Black Panthers leader Fred Hampton.
What a man. How blessed we are that we lived in a lifetime where he existed. Do you know what I'm saying?
There were several firsts. Yoo Jung-yoon from Minari won Best Supporting Actress, the first Korean actress to win an acting Oscar.
We became a family, and most of all, above all, Lee Isaac Chung. Without him, I couldn't be here tonight.
Mia Neal and Jamaica Wilson were among the hair and makeup winners for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, the first black women even nominated in the category.
And I know that one day it won't be unusual or groundbreaking. It will just be normal.
I'm not leaving my flat.
Anthony Hopkins didn't make it to Hollywood to accept his Best Actor Oscar for The Father. At 83, he's the oldest acting winner in Academy history.
Nomadland.
The night's big winner was Nomadland. Chloe Zhao and Frances McDormand were double winners, McDormand winning her third Best Actress trophy.
We give this one to our wolf.
Zhao becoming just the second woman ever to win Best Director and the first woman of color, and both women sharing in the Best Picture Oscar.
This is for anyone who has the faith and the courage to hold on to the goodness in themselves and to hold on to the goodness in each other.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Coming up next, President Biden's new legislative plan will involve some tax changes, and we'll explain who is impacted up next.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a look at the market futures for this morning. The update now has Dow Jones projected to be up by 5 and NASDAQ looking down by 46.
Undocumented immigrants will no longer have to pay fines if they fail to leave the U.S. Immigration officials said they tossed out a Trump administration policy introduced in 2018, and it imposed fines of up to almost $800 a day on immigrants who ignored their deportation orders, and for those who failed to leave the country voluntarily, $3,000. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement says it will now cancel all existing fees.
Well, part of President Biden's infrastructure plan involves a big investment into the country's internet, which brought Vice President Kamala Harris out to a New Hampshire electric co-op so she could promote that broadband boost.
We'll put $100 billion into getting access to broadband and affordable access to broadband for everyone. And it's the same thing that our country decided to do in 1936. Saying, let's get electricity to everybody, and rural America should not be left out of that priority.
Now, the GOP just recently revealed their plan for infrastructure. It cost $600 billion, and it focuses more on the traditional things like bridges and roads, and Congress is expected to take months negotiating through this deal.
Authorities investigating Congressman Matt Gaetz are looking into possible public corruption tied to the medical marijuana industry. Officials want to know if a 2018 Bahamas trip involving Gaetz and several young women was a part of an illegal effort to influence him in the area of medical marijuana. Now, federal prosecutors are examining whether the Florida Republican took gifts, including travel, and paid escorts in exchange for political favors.
As President Biden is closing in on his first 100 days in office, he's now flipping the page to the next items on his legislative agenda, like how to pay for his economic plan. So that would mean raising taxes on the richest Americans, and the president's expected to unveil the plan to a joint session of Congress next week. That proposal could raise the top marginal income tax rate from 37% to 39.6% for those households that make more than $400,000 a year.
People making under $400,000 a year will not have their taxes go up. What I can say is that it will only affect people making more than $1 million a year. That's 0.3% of taxpayers.
Now, there are opponents like GOP Senator Pat Toomey, who says a capital gains tax would dissuade investment, leading to slower economic growth.
For more than 20 years, Atlanta's airport has consistently been the busiest airport in the world. But Hartsfield-Jackson International has been dethroned to second place. According to Airports Council International, the number one is Gwangju Baiyun International Airport in southeast China. But a lot of travelers think Atlanta will take back the top spot as the pandemic ends.
Diapers are expensive. They're getting even pricier, and that makes things pretty tough for low-income families who are already struggling with the pandemic's economic impact. Now, the average monthly diaper bill for just one kid, $80. So if you make minimum wage working full-time, that's almost 8% of your take-home pay. Now, the past year hasn't helped things. Prices already jumped. Diaper makers recently said they're planning some additional price hikes. Now it's down to higher material and shipping costs, and those are costs that they are passing on to families.
Data breaches seem to be happening more and more often. More than 150 million people had sensitive information exposed last year alone. And that included everything from financial data to passwords and phone numbers. If you've been involved in a breach, you'll want to first find out exactly what data breached. And once you know what information was compromised, you can start tracing where you might have used it.
We do have an update on the astronauts who took off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida Friday morning. They spent about a full day in transit and they are now at the International Space Station. And this mission is the third ever crewed flight for Elon Musk's company, and it's also the very first crew to make use of a previously flown, privately owned rocket booster and spacecraft. Those astronauts are going to spend 6 months on the ISS studying living models of human organs. Well, that's interesting to say the least, but Brittany, something really interesting and really exciting, I might add, the weather today.
Oh yes, we have all been waiting for the warmer weather, kind of to stay warm. It looks like this week we'll be staying warm, and we are starting off kind of actually hot for our temperatures today. But before we get to that, let's start off with your morning. A beautiful sunrise taking place off in the distance, as you can see along the horizon in Grand Island for that camera. But everyone in southeast Nebraska is in, for the most part, the 60s or upper 50s. Here around Lincoln, the low 60s at 61 degrees at the airport, 59 degrees in Denton Road, and 60 for Holmes Lake. But if we zoom out, a few more 50s have appeared. It's 57 now in Fairbury, 54 in Unadilla. Omaha, you all now are sitting at 58 degrees and 54 degrees in Central City. So still very mild. If you're in those low 50s, maybe have a light jacket with you as you head out and about. But I had the windows down this morning. So if you're in those 60s, definitely might be able to leave that jacket at home. But it is very windy, so not going to be a good hair day, unfortunately. Wind speeds already are about 10, 15, even close to 20 miles per hour in some spots, with gusts already at 25 miles per hour. So you step out the door and you'll definitely start to notice that wind, and the kids will also be standing in the wind as they wait for the bus to pick them up outside. But at least the temperatures will be comfortable in those low 60s and upper 50s by around recess time, 12 o'clock or lunchtime. 78 degrees your temperature then, but high temperatures today for most of us, it looks like in the low 90s. So it could be the first day this year we hit the 90s. Now we definitely will have a few of you stuck in the upper 80s, but I think Lincoln, for example, could hit 91 degrees, 90 in Omaha, definitely down the south, all thanks to the sunshine and strong southerly winds. That is a little bit of the downside for today. Very windy like it was yesterday, all throughout the morning into the evening until about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We'll see wind gusts close to 30 miles per hour. So a breezy day, but that wind might make it feel a little nice at times since it will be so warm today. And also, if you live to the west of Lancaster County, today is not the day to burn. Our red flag warning is in effect for you all if you are in these pink counties. That includes the Tri-Cities until late this evening, 9, 10 o'clock for most of you. So do not burn today. It is not a good day for that. Maybe wait until later this week. But if you want more warm temperatures, it looks like we will start off May with the 70s and 80s and maybe a few more 90s in the forecast, above average highs on the way. Tonight, even going to be pretty comfortable. 62 degrees for your overnight low. Clouds will start to increase just a little bit as we go overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. And most of the day tomorrow will be dry. Notice how it's PM storms. So late in the day, we could see a few thunderstorms in the area. High temperatures just a tad bit cooler in those low 80s. And we do see cooler temperatures into Wednesday and Thursday, really for the rest of the week. Thanks to a cold front on Tuesday will be giving us that rain. And also it will drop those temperatures as a result, but still above average in the 70s through Friday, 80s for Saturday and Sunday. A dry weekend forecast right now filled with sunshine. Our next best chance of rain after this Tuesday will be Monday and Tuesday of next week, looking like a soggy start to next week. So enjoy the warm temperatures all this week. Going to be a beautiful week.
All right. Thank you so much, Brittany. Coming up next, we have a recall on a specialty cheese you should look out for.
Plus, President Biden's getting close to his 100th day in office. He's still pushing how important it is to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
We want to connect with you. Breaking news, weather videos, snapshots from your life. Share with us in seconds. Just download the KLKN TV app and look for Submit News and Photos in the main menu. Upload or message us your story idea instantly.
The CDC is investigating an outbreak of salmonella infections linked to cashew cheese. 5 people across 3 states have gotten sick. 2 people were hospitalized, but no deaths have been reported. The CDC believes the outbreak traces back to Jewel's cashew brie. All of the company's products have been recalled. Nebraska health officials are reporting a spike in the number of norovirus cases statewide this month, and that contagious virus normally peaks between December and March.
And DHHS says there were 14 suspected or confirmed outbreaks last week at long-term care facilities, skilled nursing facilities, child care centers, and schools across the state. Now in the Omaha area alone, Douglas County health officials say there have been 82 cases of the virus in the county so far this year, which is almost double what we've seen before. Well, between smartphones, tablets, computers, TVs, children are surrounded by more screens than ever, but researchers say they found a link between total screen time and binge eating disorder in children who are 9 to 10 years old. And the children in the study spent an average of 4 hours in front of a screen, and binge eating disorder is the most common eating disorder. It might lead to obesity, which then is linked to serious health problems like cancer, heart disease, and diabetes.
Pandemic weight gain is real, and if you've been avoiding the scale, experts say measure your waistline instead. New guidelines from the American Heart Association suggest too much belly fat, even in people with a healthy weight, could have a link to heart disease. Researchers say a protruding tummy may be a sign of visceral fat, and that's a dangerous form of fat that wraps itself around organs deep inside the body.
And clearly that script was written specifically for me. Good to know. Well, the fashion world is now mourning the death of celebrated designer Alber Elbez. Luxury fashion company Richemont issued a statement saying Elbez passed away Saturday after battling COVID-19. And he was creative director of Paris-based Richemont's AZ factory. And Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo said Elbez was a talented, generous man who'll be missed. He was 59 years old. In summer, not too far off. Time to spend how you're plan how you're spending the summer months. So if you're thinking about a trip to Europe, we've got some really good news for you, and you do not want to miss it.
And COVID-19 cases still surging around the world. America is stepping up to help.
Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us. I think we're going to be singing Sunny and 75 by midday.
Oh, absolutely. Things are looking pretty good so far. They're only going upward.
Yeah, we already are in the 60s, guys, for most of the area right now. We're upper 50s. Let's take a look first in Lincoln. We still are holding on strong to 61 degrees. Pretty much clear skies out there as the sun is starting to light up the sky. You can see a little bit of thin cirrus clouds, but nothing that's really, at least not a big deal, because we will still warm up once that sun starts to really fully go up. And as for temperatures off to the west, that's where we're seeing quite a bit of those 50s. It's now 56 degrees in Grand Island and Aurora with 60 in Hebron, 62 in Beatrice, a warmer spot in the area with 58 in Omaha. So not that bad this morning. Consider maybe rolling those windows down on the way to work. And we are seeing pretty decent wind speeds, anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Wind gust close to 25 miles per hour. So pretty breezy out there right now, and that'll stick around for the rest of your Monday. And well, that wind might feel good, because check out our high temperatures later today. Yes, in the low 90s by 11 o'clock, close to 12 o'clock. Mid to upper 70s, 80s by 1 o'clock, and this evening toasty, I would say, in those low 90s. So first time this year we could see those 90s. More on the rest of your Monday forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Brittany. We have new information coming in this morning. Americans who have been fully vaccinated for COVID-19 will be able to have a European vacation this summer. The president of the European Commission says vaccinated Americans can travel to and within the European Union. There's no exact timeline for when exactly travel might open up. That means we don't have details on how it would work, like how do you prove you've been vaccinated?
Well, as we just saw, those warmer months are finally here, and also the percentage of vaccinated Americans gradually is going up. But there is a question now lots of Americans are starting to ask.
When can I take off the mask? A study shows the odds of viral transmission age 18 times greater indoors than outside, and less than 10% of COVID-19 infections happened outside. And Dr. Rochelle Walensky said the agency is considering revising its mask guidance. And those COVID-19 vaccine shots keep going up, but about 8% of Americans have missed their second dose. The CDC also says that number is up from about 3.4% back in March. They do say the numbers account for people who get their first dose at one clinic and their second dose at another. U.S. federal vaccine advisors say it's best for people to stay as close to the schedule as possible.
Let's see what we've got ahead of us now for vaccine clinics here locally. Wednesday, Gateway Mall's got another drive-through clinic. It's for first doses. Once again, it's at the garages of the old Sears store. And there's also a clinic on Thursday at Pinnacle Bank Arena, just second doses this time around.
Well, different case here in Iowa. They're asking the federal government to withhold more than 1/4 of its allotment of coronavirus vaccines this week. It's because demand for the shots is dropping statewide. And Iowa health officials say they've declined to take around 20,000 doses this week. Governor Kim Reynolds says 43 of the state's 99 counties had declined all of part of their weekly vaccine allocations for next week. Johnson & Johnson's vaccine is good to go again. A CDC advisory committee voted to recommend resuming use of the vaccine in Americans 18 years and older.
And the committee says the benefits outweigh the risk of those rare blood clots.
So the vote is 10 in favor, 4 opposed, and 1 abstention. The motion carries. The Janssen COVID vaccine is recommended for persons 18 years of age and older in the U.S. population under the FDA's emergency use authorization.
What the FDA is going to do, though, they're making a change to the label to put a warning on there for women who are under the age of 50 getting blood clots. And the U.S. has more than 9 million Johnson & Johnson doses ready to go. Now, the CDC says the demand definitely still there for a convenient COVID-19 single-dose vaccine like Johnson & Johnson's. That certainly helped in their decision.
And Director Rochelle Walensky says health officials were working on a risk-benefit analysis.
I think the FDA and I both feel strongly, and the CDC feel strongly, that we need to act swiftly after that analysis. But I do think that there's plenty of people who are interested in the J&J vaccine, if just for convenience, as well as for a single-dose option.
6 cases of blood clots were reported before the pause, and the agency currently knows of 15 cases. Moderna working on a booster shot to address COVID variants, and that includes ones like the B.1.351 variant. And that one was first identified in South Africa. They're expecting to have it ready to go by the fall.
And the first bits of the clinical data should be showing up maybe as soon as next month. And many experts think that booster shots are probably going to become necessary as the virus keeps changing and the new variants form.
As U.S. health officials are racing to get those vaccine shots into people, the experts say we're a couple weeks from a tipping point in vaccine enthusiasm. Parts of the country already seeing fewer people sign up for shots.
This vaccine is our ticket to ride. This is our ticket to freedom, of returning back to normal life as we knew it before the pandemic.
The 7-day rolling average of administered shots is showing a recent dip, so the challenge now, making sure more American adults want to get one.
The U.S. is helping India to deal with a huge wave of coronavirus.
Sunday's case numbers were the highest recorded in a single day anywhere in the world, and it has health experts concerned.
We do take the very difficult situation that India is going through very, very seriously. You know, the United States and India are the 2 countries now that have suffered the most. Things like getting them vaccinations is certainly on the table. These things are all being discussed. A pandemic that's a global pandemic requires a global response. So that's the reason why we and other rich countries have to exert what I think is our moral responsibility to help the rest of the world get this under control.
On Sunday alone, almost 350,000 new cases were reported, with nearly 3,000 deaths. And President Joe Biden is going to reach his 100th day in office on Thursday. His administration remains focused on COVID-19 related health and economic issues. The president also hoping to get his sweeping infrastructure plan through Congress. And this week, Biden will unveil the latest part of his economic agenda during his first joint address to Congress, and since laying out his jobs and infrastructure proposal last month in Pittsburgh.
Healthy people who continue to test positive for coronavirus after they've recovered from COVID-19 apparently are not infectious. That's according to a new study that was based on NBA players and staff. Now, among the more than 3,600 people who were in that NBA bubble last year, nobody transmitted the virus to others, even though a lot of them were participating in unmasked activities like training and games after they recovered. Now, that bubble, remember that's the closed campus where NBA players and staff stayed during basketball season to limit their risk of COVID-19.
Well, here's the latest on COVID-19 in Lancaster County. We have 17 new cases, which brings our community total to over 30,700. A total of 47 COVID variants have been identified within the county, and 35 are the UK variant. The number of deaths is at 232. More than 27,700 people have recovered from the virus.
Well, there were so many places that closed up once the pandemic really took off, and then they slowly came back online with some changes. But there is one that decided to wait it out, and that's Lincoln's Museum of American Speed. They waited until this April 1st, and now they've gone through almost their first month of being open again, so things pretty close to normal. In fact, workers say this past weekend, good weather meant that they had one of the best turnouts they've had since they reopened. So that does make it one place that has not been slowed down by the pandemic.
Coming up next, the viral Josh fight was a hit, and we have all the highlights of the event that took place right in our backyard. Stay with us.
We're still dusting ourselves off from a big rumble in Lincoln. That's the Josh fight. The eyes of the nation watching here on Lincoln with bated breath.
And the nation's Joshes descended on the capital city to battle it out in hopes of keeping their name. Channel 8's Yosef Nasser brings us all the excitement from the ultimate Josh fight.
It was an absolute Josh pit at Lincoln Air Park on Saturday. Big Josh, Spider Josh, Little Josh, a plethora of Joshes gathered from all over the country to compete in the ultimate showdown.
I'm coming from Minnesota.
I'm coming all the way from Dallas. So I'm from Omaha.
I'm from Wichita, Kansas. I drove 4.5 hours to be here.
And of course, the man who started it all, Josh Swain of Arizona.
I'm feeling pretty insane right now. It's kind of out of body right now. I honestly couldn't really tell you. I have probably a billion thoughts going through my head at the moment.
A year ago, Swain took to Facebook and challenged as many Josh Swains as he could to a battle royale. The winner would earn the right to keep the name. As the idea went viral, Swain decided to use the opportunity to contribute to charity, the Lincoln Food Bank, and the Children's Hospital and Medical Center. Josh Swain of Omaha took a year to prepare and competed in an epic duel of rock, paper, scissors, best of 3. They tied 3 times straight, but the original Josh Swain emerged victorious.
I found another Josh Swain. That was amazing. Did not expect that to happen. And I came out on top.
That's when the real competition began. Joshes from all over gathered in a circle to compete in a noodle fight. After an intense competition, the tiniest competitor, 4-year-old Josh Vincent Jr. of Lincoln, affectionately known as Little Josh, came out victorious.
I always fight everyone.
You fight everyone! Little Josh spoke with Channel 8 after his victory.
How much fun did you have out there today?
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. It's pretty awesome, man. He's going to remember this for the rest of his life. Lift him up! Lift him up! Lift him up!
Reporting in Lincoln, Yosef Nasser, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Right?
Wonderful.
And later today, our own Allie Snow is actually going to be sitting down with Little Josh to talk all about his victory, so that will be in our evening newscasts.
Little Josh, the big winner. Well, still ahead, the J&J vaccine is back in action, which means now the U.S. can ramp up its vaccine rollout again. So we'll see what clinics are open this week.
Plus, as the weather gets warmer, we are seeing more and more motorcycles. Now LPD investigating a crash that killed one rider over the weekend.
Time for the news-making headlines right now. It's the top 8 stories of the day before GMA.
Lincoln Fire and Rescue crews are on the scene of a garage fire from early this morning at 2900 South Folsom Street. That garage engulfed in flames when crews showed up right around 6 a.m.
And we do have a reporter on scene, and we're being told that the fire is now out and an investigation has begun. And just a heads up, they are blocking that street right now, so just to avoid the area. For about 96 years, the Golds Building has stood downtown, and now more than 180 new apartments are planned to fill its top floors.
And that would make it one of Lincoln's biggest downtown apartment projects.
Golds Building is a building that has probably been in decline in one way or another for a number of years, and we're real excited about a developer coming in and putting over $25 million into the building to rehabilitate it.
The city plans on making mostly 1-bedroom apartments, but with some studios and 2-bed units. The first floor, that's for business and office space. And back in 2019, the Golds Building was going to be made into a hotel, but the owners decided to sell after the pandemic. And there's a public hearing at tonight's City Council meeting at 5:30 p.m. on this issue. And here's some more stuff that's on the agenda for City Council. An amendment to the projects paid for by that quarter-cent sales tax, an ordinance to delay the expiration of some permits and licenses. That's because of the pandemic.
Also amending the capital improvement program to include the Aging Department's Victory Park project and to cover a few parks and recreation projects. But of course, we'll have all the latest details in our evening newscasts.
Well, Governor Pete Ricketts, Fremont Mayor Joey Spellerberg, and the Nebraska Department of Transportation have a little bit of a celebration going on today for all the progress on construction of the Fremont Southeast Beltway, which is a $62 million project.
So if you are interested in going, it's at 3:30 this afternoon at the work site at roundabout intersection of US Highway 77 and Downing Street, and this will also be streamed live.
Well, the Lincoln Police Department is investigating a fatal motorcycle crash. It happened Saturday night, Highway 77 near Warlick Boulevard. Around 10 p.m., 2 Nebraska state troopers joined into a chase. There was a motorcycle headed north on 77, and before either of them could make a stop, the motorcycle rear-ended a car, and the troopers came on the scene just a little bit later. They tried to save the rider, a 28-year-old man from Lincoln. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and will, of course, keep you updated with any details.
Federal agencies have lifted their pause on the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine, and this comes as the U.S. nears 32 million confirmed COVID cases.
The necessary steps needed to take to keep the public safe, to figure out what kind of a risk we were dealing with, and then get the best information to people.
Between 70 and 85% of the country needs to be immune to the virus, either through vaccination or previous infection, to lessen the spread. And health experts say it's essential to get vaccinated as more contagious mutations of the virus take hold in the U.S., stalling the nation's recovery.
Well, here's what we've got ahead of us for this week for vaccine clinics. Wednesday, Gateway Mall's got another one of those drive-through clinics for first doses this time, and it's again at those garages at the old Sears store. And there's a clinic on Thursday at Pinnacle Bank Arena. This one is just second doses this time around.
We have new information coming in this morning. Americans who have been fully vaccinated for COVID will be able to have a European vacation this summer. The president of the European Commission says vaccinated Americans can travel to and within the European Union. There's no exact timeline for when exactly travel might open up. Now that means we don't have details on how it would work, like how do you prove you've been vaccinated? Let's check in now with Brittany Foster with a last look at your forecast.
Oh, and we'll go from comfortable conditions this morning, guys, to summer heat by the afternoon. So let's start off with this morning as you step out the door. Some of you might not even need that light jacket. We were in the 60s in Lincoln, right at that in Lincoln as well as in Friend. A little warmer in Beatrice with 62 degrees there, 59 in Omaha, and off to the west, quite a bit of 50s. It's now 54 in Grand Island, 57 in York. So maybe if you're in Kearney, Grand Island, have that light jacket with you, but you definitely do not need a jacket later today. Look how fast temperatures will warm. Sunshine and gusty conditions out of the south today will get us from the low 60s and upper 50s by this morning to 78, close to those 80s by 12 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock, yes, hot and breezy with high temperatures in the 90s today. For the first time this year, we could see several widespread 90s all across southeast Nebraska. Again, you can see those strong southerly winds bringing in that warmth, and we will see a few of you stuck in the upper 80s today. But for the most part, a lot of 90s likely going to be popping up around southeast Nebraska as we get to the second half of your Monday. Now, with that heat and the windy conditions, we know that doesn't usually result in good things. That's why a red flag warning is in effect off to the west of Lancaster County, including the Tri-Cities. So do not burn at all today. It's in effect until late this evening. Maybe save the burning for the second half of this week when we aren't as dry and temperatures do cool down just a little bit. We start to see that cooling trend starting up really Tuesday. Dry for most of the day. Storms will fire up during the afternoon and evening, all thanks to a cold front be pushing through. 82 degrees for your high. We drop down to 65 by Wednesday. So you will want those jackets. Don't put them away in storage just yet. Want them by Wednesday. 70s are back Thursday and Friday. And looking ahead at this weekend already, it's Monday. Let's